Lauri, do you have anything to say?
Sorry, was somebody
Oh,
calling
I was
on me?
just asking if you have anything to contribute tonight.
I just would like to just a little brief thing on the FDAO and talking about the the discussion for Astronomy Day.
Right, that's important. Now, Kevin, sometimes we like to say hi to new people. Or would you be willing to say hello to people and what your interests are?
Sure.
Okay, well, why don't we start with that?
Hey, my name is Kevin Bertels.
Can you hear him? Good, Kevin, go ahead.
Yes, but he's hard to see.
Maybe spotlight them.
I can't see him.
Just
Right.
spotlight RASC Victoria.
Just spotlight him.
So my name is Kevin Bertels. I live in James Bay, and I don't have a telescope. And I was coerced to come here by Jim Cox,
Yay.
who told me that this is really the font of the universe here. So I showed up. Second meeting.
Well, that's super. And I want to, I wasn't able to be here last week, but Dave, that was a great movie. I got
Yes.
to see it on the YouTube.
Yeah, it was great.
And I'm so glad that we had such a hearty discussion afterwards. That was super. While I'm in thanking mode, I just want to say as we come to the last Astro Cafe of 2023, huge thanks to Chris for organizing and keeping everything going and making sure the equipment is going. And I am just so pleased that you've taken on this role. And Joe, the recordings are so important and we're getting such a big reach because of them. And as soon as we see Kathy again, I want to thank her. And I have to tell all the people out there in virtual land that if you come here, there's now coffee again because Kathy has taken the initiative. But she is off there right now, I think, doing
Getting
something.
well, she's making it upstairs, so.
She makes it upstairs.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. So I know that people can make it here in person because we had 30 people here for the buy and sell. And it is really very, very fun here. Okay. So I think I'm going to start with my talk, as it seems to be the thing to do right now. So for people who don't know me, my name is Randy Enkin, and for now I am the president of the Victoria Center. And I am going to share my screen. Share my screen. And bring up my presentation. There we go. And Chris is going to set it up over here too. So Kathy, I went around thanking people who are making this a better place, and you're one of them for making the coffee. So thank you.
I wanted to, but yeah, it's great.
Good for you. Okay. So this is the story of Leona versus Betelgeuse. And so a couple of weeks ago in my Facebook, what is this guy's name? Luca, oh dear, I forget his name. Anyway, he's this Italian fellow in Rome who runs the
Vanzanelli or
virtual-
something like that?
No.
No, sorry. Okay, sorry.
Oh dear. Anyway, oh, maybe Luca is his last name. His family name. Oh, there it is, Gianluca Massi. That's it. It's there on the screen. Anyway, Gianluca Massi is this exuberant fellow who often will do these live streams from his observatory in Rome. But also whenever there's an eclipse, he will get people to email him photos as it's happening, and he tracks them along. And I participated in one of those. And in this case, he said that he was going to go to the south of Italy to watch and to stream the extremely rare Betelgeuse occultation by an asteroid. So, it was to take place just actually about an hour before Astro Cafe last week. It was going to take place 5 something in the afternoon. It piqued my interest. And as often happens here, when my interest gets piqued, I go in for a bit of a deep dive. So Betelgeuse, you know, Orion, the most easy to see winter constellation. It's the hunter, and you have his beautiful belt and his sword. And if you put your telescope, even a small binoculars, on the belt, you see the Orion Nebula. And if you're a clever person who knows how to do H-alpha photography, you see all sorts of nebulosity all over here. Anyway, that is Betelgeuse. It is the hunter's shoulder. And it's right in the middle of the winter hexagon, which is also wonderful to get to know your way around the winter sky. And it is usually the 6th brightest star in the sky. But, whoa, what happened? I got very interested in 2019 when they started talking about the Great Dimming. And early in 2020, right around here in the curve, this is date, and this is the magnitude. So it's usually around 0.5, but it went down to almost to a brightness of 2. And I gave a talk about what they thought was going on. And as you see, since then, it's got quite bright again. So it didn't go supernova. But it's a fascinating star. The first thing about it is it's quite close. I think it's about 700 light years away. And it was the first star that they actually ever imaged as anything other than a point. So every star, from the faintest to the brightest, is pretty well a point source. Like you cannot, with any telescope, see that it's anything but just a very bright point in the sky. The more you magnify it, the more light you bring in, but you don't make it any bigger. Anyway, Michelson put this thing, this contraption, on top of what was then the world's largest telescope, the 100-inch at Mount Wilson. So he made it effectively like 200 inches across, and doing some clever interferometry, he could work out its size. And now with these big telescope arrays, they can actually image it. And it turns out it's huge. It's like 800 to 1,000 times the size of the sun. And it's not that that's the uncertainty. That is that it wibbles. It gets bigger and smaller. And if you look at it from, its size, it's about 50 milli arc seconds across. Okay, and that's going to become important in this story. So just think 50 or so milli arc seconds. And this is nothing to do about today's topic, but while I was doing it, there's this wonderful paper. I didn't write down who it was. It's a Japanese, it's a student who had the idea saying, you know, the problem with, well, let's just go back a couple. You see how every time Betelgeuse is near the sun, there are no measurements. But you see now, ever since the Great Dimming, there have been lots and lots, almost continuous measurement. And that's because of clever people like this one who realized that you can measure the magnitude outside the Earth's atmosphere with weather satellites. So this is the Japanese meteorological satellite, and it actually, this is not cropped. This is what its optic array sees, but about every 1.7 days, for a few minutes, you can see Betelgeuse just off the limb. And he did the magic to actually get it calibrated and to work out. And what's lovely is it doesn't just give him a wonderful time series, but also in something like 13 different bands. So what you see on top are all the different wavelengths that you can see through the atmosphere. Okay, there are these windows where, oh, somebody knows better than me, probably. It has to do with resonances of water vapor in the atmosphere. And at these particular frequencies, the atmosphere is transparent, and the rest of it, it's opaque. And it's good that it's opaque, otherwise the Earth would be very, very cold. It's only that this is the greenhouse. This is when we talk about the Earth's greenhouse. Most of the greenhouse is water vapor, and it's because of the opacity of the atmosphere. But at all of these red dots, you can look through the atmosphere, and that's what they were trying to do with the optics on this weather satellite. But this guy had the idea of using it for astrophysics. Fantastic. I shall come back to this picture, but so here we go. This is going from 2017 until, you know, sometime in 2021. And here is the Great Dimming. So this first graph here is the near infrared. So that's basically just telling us how bright it is for people looking down here. But then, because he has spectroscopy, he can model it. And in particular, let's go back to this. The points over here, the prediction, if it's just how big and how bright, how hot Betelgeuse is, it would be this very simple line. But if there's dust, then it's this line. And lo and behold, he was able to show that there's lots of dust. Anyway, when you split it apart, this is the radius of Betelgeuse. And so it was pretty constant through the Great Dimming. That's not the thing that made it change. But the first thing is you see that it got a lot cooler. It got like 150 degrees cooler than normal. And this A of V is a measure of how much dust there is. And you see there's a whole bunch more dust. So it burped. It got cold and it burped. And these two things made Betelgeuse look noticeably dimmer. Anybody just naked eye looking at Orion around the new year of 2019-2020 saw that it was noticeably dimmer. And with this data set, they could show that it was about equal measure, it getting cooler and it burping a bunch of dust. But that's not what we're talking about today. That was just a diversion. What we're talking about is asteroid 319 Leona. So Lauri and Chris have asteroids named in the 20,000s, somewhere up there. But 319 was discovered in 1891 in the heroic days where you had to actually see a point move across the sky. Although 1891, it was probably photographic by then, eh? I don't know how he did it, but he found it and he named it after his wife. Because the person who discovers an asteroid gets to name it. And now they have these other things where other people get to name them because a lot of the discoverers have given up their option. Anyway, here it is pointing away from the sun, and some clever people many years ago figured out that on December 11, 2023, it was going to be exactly in the path of Betelgeuse. And so this is a wonderful paper that was, I love it in astronomy. You can do observations on the 13th of September and publish it on September 22nd. It was received on the 20th and accepted and published on the 22nd. In my world, it takes months from when you submit your paper till when you publish it. Anyway, so this was in preparation, and this is the path that the occultation was predicted to be. Actually, it goes from east to west. It's opposite how eclipses go. You know, solar eclipses always start in the west and go to the east. And I think it's because you're looking in towards the sun as opposed to looking out towards something which is stationary. Anyway, I have to figure this out, but certainly it went across. It was planned that it would go across Turkey, Greece, Italy, Spain, and then it would head out and cross the Keys of Florida. And so they looked through the list of tiny occultations, and so what star Leona was going to go in front of? Okay, so it because it's always going in front of stars, but they would be magnitude 12 or 15 or something that, you know, was more difficult to see instead of a magnitude 1. Okay, so they chose this one that went over Spain, and they got a bunch of telescopes set in an array. I didn't show the map, I should have. And this is what a light curve looks like. So they saw, you know, it was on average here. So they just call that 1. And then it went down to about 0. It actually got extinguished, the star. So the star is moving along at a certain brightness, and boom, it disappeared for what, 11 seconds, and then boom, it comes back up. And so they had a whole bunch of people set up from north to south from where it was predicted to be. And interestingly, they saw that it's not a circle. It's not a sphere. This asteroid it's elongated. And then there was another occultation later on in the month. And they also, from looking at it over a long time and seeing its brightness, they could work out a model of its shape and its rotation. So it's kind of amazing how much they could figure out about this little point in the sky out somewhere between Mars and Jupiter. But here we go. And the thing is, its size is almost the same as that 50 microseconds of arc that we expect Betelgeuse to be. And so there's all this talk about, depending on what angle the asteroid's going to be as it goes over in front of Betelgeuse, is it going to be a partial eclipse, like a ring of fire? Okay, so when the moon is smaller than the sun, then like it was in October, then we get still a bunch of the brightness of the sun. We saw what, 90-something% of the sun was occulted here, but it was still daytime. Whereas if the size of Leona that's presented to us is over 60 kilometers, then we get almost a complete occultation. So these were predictions. And also, because Betelgeuse is not a nice uniform star, it's got hot spots and cold spots and things, they modeled all sorts of different curves that you might expect to see. So this is a lovely picture from Pennsylvania. This guy, Tom Wildener, published, says, I'm not going to see the occultation, but I can at least see the approach. So this was about an hour of Leona approaching this totally blown out picture of Betelgeuse. I think that's a fantastic picture. First of all, very clever to think of doing it. And second, I think it's not an easy picture to take. I'd like the astrophotographers to talk about that. Anyway, this is the path, and these are minutes after 1 UT or 5 Pacific Standard Time. So, unfortunately, so yeah, this was somebody who got a successful light curve. This wasn't what I was going to show right now, but I got my order out of place. So, this is what it looked like for the people who actually got to see it. But here, virtual telescope, I was all excited, but if you go down the page, because of clouds, the live feed is regretfully canceled. So Italy was a wipeout. Turkey was a wipeout. Florida was a wipeout. But Spain worked. It was iffy. It was very iffy. There was a lot of like high clouds, but people still got some light curves.
Good things.
Sometimes those grades are better because they give you the answers.
No, but its clouds are never good.
No, clouds are.
So, you know, there haven't been any scholarly articles yet that I found, but this is, what is this page? Let me go up to the top. This was the best thing. So IOTA, the International Occultation Timing Association, is this wonderful organization that predicts these things. And this was the European section. And so here are a bunch of real pictures and time series that people did. So this is what it looked like in the center line with different filters. Somebody's got to analyze these. I haven't seen that done yet. The thing that bothers me is you can't easily use the times because it all depends where you are along the path. So I was trying to match up the times between these. So now they go from the south to the north. And these are the various reports, because a lot of people were just looking and saying what they saw. But then there are a few people who have recordings. So what you see here is it was nice and clear. There's the occultation, and then the clouds came. This person was very lucky. And that's just through a 55mm Nikon lens, you know, it doesn't take very fancy equipment. This is rather fancier equipment with H alpha. So now we're getting closer and closer to where it was predicted to go across. Just predicting it is amazing, you know, because Betelgeuse is so bright that Gaia can't figure out its position. It saturates it, it blows up the, so they just can't do things like that. Yeah, there's some YouTubes. So now we're still in the south, and now we're going to the north. That's a nice one. Anyways, I think there will have to be a follow-up at some point to say what these mean. Oh, look, this guy had a lot of luck.
Yeah.
So, you know, all these variations are clouds. This is Leona actually in the path of Betelgeuse. It's just fantastic.
So that chord is another person that is.
Each one was a different person,
Okay,
There was that diagram at the beginning with different parallels.
yeah.
and somebody did some spectra. Anyway, I think that's it. Oh, there's another one of those lovely, put it in a time series, so you can see that it's going along, but it didn't extinguish. It went smaller, but it was more a ring of fire than a total eclipse. Very good.
So is that because that observation wasn't taken from the center line, or?
It could be because it wasn't the center line, but also nobody actually had it extinguish. So in September, whatever, when they were looking at a magnitude 12 star, it totally extinguished. But when they're looking at Betelgeuse, Betelgeuse is actually bigger in angular size than the size of this little asteroid. David Lee.
Hey, Randy. I'm glad you brought this up because it's been a long time since the center has really done an asteroidal occultation. And in fact, I just wanted to mention Dave Bennett, who recently passed away. Dave and I actually did the Varsavia one in 2003. So it was a Varsavia 1263. And we actually do have a chord. Now, you showed a shape. Now, these things are typically potato shaped. And Lee and Bennett has a chord actually across Varsavia 1263. So, but I would love to do this again. You know, I think
Yes.
we need more people to do that. And IOTA is a perfect site. I'm going to keep monitoring it. The gear that we used at that time in 2003 was, I don't know what I would replace it with. They still don't have any definitions for digital capture, but at the time we used a videotape and we used WWV. So we used a time signal, we used video, and I fed the time signal onto the tape. And then I was able to, through a video editor, find the fields and get it down to about a 30th of a second. So it was a well-known technique at the time. I just don't know if they've given any definitions for digital capture yet, but I'm going to find out.
And what about that person who gave us a talk at Astro Cafe about that set of schools that are doing it all the way up from California? Who was that?
I'm not sure. Varsavia was actually quite extensive. I think it went all the way up BC, all the way down to the California coast.
Who remembers the Astro Cafe talk about this guy setting up a network of schools?
Yeah.
We'll have to find that one. I don't remember that one.
I hope it was after we started recording. So we'll find it. But yes, we absolutely should. It sounds like a wonderful.
Well, I'll keep my eye open. We were very fortunate with Varsavia. The star that was being occulted was, I think, quite bright. I think it was like Mag 9 or something like that. And we used Dave Bennett's 8-inch C8 to do it. I
Yeah,
relied on Dave for finding it, and I supplied the imaging back end to it.
that's so cool.
Anyways, we'll get it going again.
Okay. Well, next on the agenda, I think we should talk about our various outreach things coming up. And the first one traditionally every year is Astronomy Day. And Lauri brought this up last week that the museum, after scheduling something else last year on Astronomy Day and saying they didn't want us, I don't know what changed, but this year they said, do you want to come back?
I think they just overlooked the timing and they booked something on top.
But
So-
I would really like to get feedback from the community of the advantages and disadvantages of going back to the university or going to the museum. I have a bias, but I wasn't available at the university, so I'm not really in a good place to speak. Lauri, do you want to bring this? Is there any extra information to bring up in this? Lauri, maybe she's not there.
Actually, while we're waiting for Lauri, I'll just throw in my 2 cents. I really enjoyed it at the museum because they have lots of space for us there, even though it became more and more restrictive over time. I find the UVic venue a little bit tight, but the big plus with the UVic venue is having the Bob Wright facility just above us. So
Yeah.
I think there was a definite plus there. It was a little bit more compact. I don't know. We definitely had more people at the museum, but I'm not sure if they were there because of the event or whether they were there for other things at the museum. Lots of tourists, of course, right?
Yeah, we get more drop-bys. I think it was like a factor 4.
Yeah.
More we get at the museum. And I think that for me, we get to inspire more people. If there are more people there, we get to
Not necessarily. It depends on who the people are. If your aim for this event is to appeal to local people. And either
that's a
site,
good question.
either site it was saw between the sites. The extra people you're getting at the museum are usually tourists or visitors to town.
Mhm.
UVic, you're only going to get the locals. The visitors are not going to go to UVic.
Okay, but that's a great question.
So,
Are we interested
right,
in astro outreach sensu lato, or do we want to get people who will actually be members? Okay, I think it's Dave and then Jeff.
I think it's much better at the museum because you get people off the street. I don't really care if they're local or not. I'm not local.
For example,
That's correct.
For example, I think you get, yes, a lot of people who didn't go there for Astronomy Day, but you open their eyes, and that's what public outreach is all about. I think if you have it at the university, it's more an astronomer's event that people are already interested in it. So it's just my
somebody
opinion.
who was there,
I think the museum is better.
what was the age profile at the university? Like, was it university students? Did the kids come?
There were a few students. There weren't so many kids.
Mark,
Yeah, I think it was the wrong time for students, I think, when we had it. That was one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was summer,
Over there.
summer.
Okay.
Okay, Jeff.
Yeah, I go along with Dave. I think the purpose of Astronomy Day is a public outreach, and I think your public outreach is going to be way better at the museum, and the fact that you can get walk-ins is great. That there's a lot of kids is great. I think it's a much more of a public event that way. So I'd really agree that the museum's a better venue.
So just as a side note, we shouldn't discount that the tourists aren't visiting people locally. So it could be, even though we have tourists coming there, they may tell the people that they're with or the family that they're visiting.
Mhm.
For my
Kathy,
two.
say it loud.
I just think from my point of view, not knowing about what this is gonna be, sort of, what you guys want to have it for, what's the whole idea, but, for sure, you're not gonna get people that are, off the street going to, UVic.
No.
It's just too much sort of, too much, people want to find out what's going on, but they don't want to sit there and listen to all this, a different language, you know, when it puts people off. So I go for the museum.
It's sounding clear that we should at least pursue it further with the museum. That's what I'm hearing. Are there other
Yeah.
points of view?
I
David?
I would tend to agree that when you have it at a venue like UVic, and you're targeting the people in Victoria primarily, because there's no tourists gonna go to UVic. You're also targeting people who already have an interest in astronomy, and they're gonna show up at UVic. Whereas when you're doing it at the museum, you're targeting people who may have no interest in astronomy, and you're gonna maybe capture their interest.
That's right. That's right.
Bill, you run one of the most popular aspects of the Astronomy Day. How does it work for you in one place or the other?
The museum is way better.
Way better.
It's really, it's quiet at UVic. There's no traffic. I would pretty much say it's almost no traffic.
Oh, okay. That's
Because
huge.
it's the end of the year, and the students are all gone, and a new season hasn't really started, and it's really only people who go specifically for that.
When Bill says it's way better. Margie.
Yes, I agree with everything that's been said. Having been on the welcome table in both locations, UVic we were busy to a certain extent, and then especially in the afternoon it just calmed right down, and the people at the welcome table, we were having conversations with each other. At the museum, it's busy the majority of the time. There are always people coming and going, and the children's table at the museum was always packed.
That's great.
Yeah, I just, because I was on the welcome table last year, I don't really remember the children's table at UVic. I don't even remember it. But I think Astronomy Day is Astronomy Day in many different places. I'm assuming in North America. So people are people. I'd rather touch more than less.
Awesome. So David and then Patrick.
Actually, let Patrick go first. I've already spoken.
Patrick, I don't know you.
I was there a
Oh.
while back, a couple of meetings ago, but yeah, I was wondering, there's the two options, but is there potential for entertaining a third option.
Well, Patrick,
Go
I don't,
for it.
Patrick, I
for
don't, I don't know if you
I know why he's talking.
knew the old versions of Astronomy Day, but we used to have the daily event down at the museum, and then we would relocate in the evening to the center of the universe. So, I mean, that
Well-
was, if we go back old time, that's the way it
Okay,
was.
so Patrick, what's your suggestion?
Well, so I like to potentially entertain looking at exposing beyond Victoria and that area, but looking to a new area and expose in a new region. So like either Langford or Colwood to just
Mm.
expose people to what RASC is doing in Victoria. But because there's more families and stuff by demographics out west a bit. So I was thinking maybe even like the Esquimalt Lagoon by the university there, or perhaps someplace like near Langford, downtown Langford.
Well, you know what? That is a new idea and I like it.
Mm.
I-
We'd have to,
It's a lot of people moving a lot. If that's what you're doing.
I'd say that again, Kathy?
I'm just worried that you're going from three different places.
Oh, no, it's just, I'm just interested.
Oh,
Set
so
up
now I get
satellite.
it.
Patrick is suggesting
Okay, good.
that we do outreach
Otherwise,
where the families live, and it's true, there are a lot of young families out that way. There was a while we were even looking at having a astronomy museum.
Yeah,
Has that died?
I don't know. That was gonna be up by, where is it, by Costco, I think.
Yeah, there was.
And they were gonna build a facility there. They wanted, they wanted an astronomy museum in there with a planetarium. but I don't-
that faded to black,
Yeah,
the whole thing.
No money.
Yeah.
No funding.
there's
Mhm.
nothing,
It was actually the Maritime Museum.
was one of the.
Oh, that's right,
development,
that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Okay.
Right, yes,
So
it's always.
Whoa, what's going on?
I know to some extent where Patrick is coming from. I think what you're talking about is not necessarily having one location that's in different places from year to year, but having satellite locations where we have a location at the museum, and then maybe we have a few people in Langford, one or two people in Langford. Maybe we extend it where we have an evening session down at Cattle Point, and you advertise that at the museum and in advance. And some people will go one place, some people will go another place. And that, I think, gives you a different opportunity to reach
Mhm.
people.
That's true.
I'm totally thinking about exposing the potential for new membership so that, bringing in a little extra of the green to expand the club and just get more action happening throughout the South Island.
So Patrick, you're really thinking of it being regional rather than being so localized to the city.
Yeah, so like even me, like I live up, by the observatory, and hiking downtown is, not so fun. But even getting away from, other areas, like I always think the Esquimalt Lagoon has a nice south-facing sky, relatively good, decent light pollution issues. That it's just, and it's another venue, and and maybe Royal Roads is potentially gonna market that in the Colwood region, that kind of thing, just
Mhm.
because it's different. It's not normal.
So Patrick, in previous years, we used to do the West Shore Mall. We used to have a
I
day
was
at
going to
the West
ask
Shore Mall.
about that. It has
Yeah, we
coffee
stopped
day-
we stopped doing it when we started trimming back what we do. So
Well, the event also changed. It had been a hobby day and then it
Right.
became a family day, and I think Jim from the Model Boat Club, is that right too? And I think they didn't invite us back necessarily.
They didn't invite the boat club back either.
Oh,
I think we were maybe welcome to attend, but it was gonna be a completely different event.
Uh-huh.
So it was set up down that, what's that one called? West Shore Town Center? It
yeah,
used to be Can West Mall for the real old timers.
right.
And they down the center of the mall, were a bunch of different things that were hobby.
Well, I have to say, it's
And that was in
because of
February.
that I'm here, because
Yeah.
I was there with the science fair and Lauri and I got talking. And
Right.
that's how I joined
Yeah.
the RASC.
And that was in February, so that was yet a completely different time of the year, and
Yeah.
and it was,
I just think that's a different opportunity.
and I don't
where
know
you're
if
gonna
they'll ever.
piggyback on another
Yeah,
Yeah.
event. Because there's the outdoor show that happens.
well, like
in
we do with the
spring.
science fair, which is.
Yeah, and
do with
like
astronomy.
the outdoor show where there's fishermen and hunters and stuff like that. Wouldn't hurt to have a guy there one guy there with a booth with a few cards that say.
Mhm.
So that's a different approach to
Yeah.
outreach than what we're talking for Astronomy Day,
Eh.
where it's a specific day. Where Czech News and people like that are gonna pick up that kind of coverage. And if you have more than one location, even if it's only one or two guys at the outreach location.
Yeah.
I think
It
it
could
would
work.
reach a larger audience.
Now, Susan Grady put in the chat a really good question. What is the goal of Astronomy Day?
Exactly.
And your hand is up now, Susan. Is that what you're asking, or do you want to further that?
Oh, that is my basic question, because being new to this, what I've heard so far is the purpose of it is to get new members, and the other
Oh.
one is just to wake people up.
Wake
To-
people up, that's more about it, yeah.
And the
Yeah,
follow-up
so-
is new-
Yeah, so if the goal is to really excite people about astronomy and what people do in that realm, then you want to be in a place that's most accessible to people by car, parking, public transit, knowledge of the location, that kind of thing, really.
Does anybody else want to have a go at the purpose, the goal of our, because we do invest a lot of time and energy in this event.
So Randy, I think it really depends on whether we align with the International Day of Astronomy. There's actually multiple ones through the year, but it's always been about public outreach, not necessarily localized reach, but just astronomy in general. I don't know how much we align to that, or whether we're looking for an opportunity for our membership.
Okay, how about Bill?
Okay, so my aspect of this whole thing of Astronomy Day is about sort of spreading the love. So like sharing the various aspects of what amateur astronomy is. So I understand Patrick's idea of where to do an evening event, but the daytime needs an indoor space that's protected, because there are lots of displays of the various aspects of what goes on in amateur astronomy that wouldn't really work set up at the side of the road on the beach at Esquimalt Lagoon. Whereas if it's raining, that's really gonna suck, and we'd need the giant circus tent. So that's why we do need that big venue, like whether it's UVic or the museum or some large space for us to be able to set up the various displays, and it needs power. So the evening thing, that's more variable to where we could be set up to randomly attack people with our telescopes and say, have you ever looked at the moon, or have you ever looked at this or that? And they'll say no, and it's say, well, you can, and then they come over and they have a peek. But
Lauri,
the daytime thing's different.
Lauri, will there be an FDAO event? First of all, do we have a date?
May
this-
18,
May 18, perfect.
so it's later than usual,
And it's a Saturday.
the Saturday, and
will
that is
we-
that
will
is
there
the
be an
day for
event in the
international.
evening?
Yes, I think we're planning on having an open house, like a news, a star party.
Perfect, okay.
Yeah.
Brian,
Could we get the museum to screen that Deep Sky movie?
you bet. Well, we'll have somebody in charge of the speakers, and that would be a good idea for one of the sessions that we have in the auditorium.
you
Brian.
can always ask, but they know months and months and months in advance when everything is going to be out, so I'm not sure.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were talking about the movie last week. You're meaning about the web movie.
I think that's what Brian was saying, yeah.
No,
Or
yes,
David.
that's what I meant, the James Webb Deep Sky
Yeah.
movie. that was-
IMAX, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, that would be a really good thing to ask about.
Well, and if it can't be at the IMAX, is there a non-IMAX version that we could show in the lecture room?
Gotcha.
Right between
Okay.
times, right? Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, licensing.
Yeah,
Brian.
that's the thing.
they want us there, so we got some negotiation.
Mhm. Brian Barber.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, I was just gonna ask about the date. So it is May 18th. And that will be the Saturday before the Victoria Monday holiday. So it'll be very busy downtown with probably with a lot of tourists. You know, those people come up for the Victoria Day parade. Groups from marching bands, etc. So that would be it'll be a busy downtown. So we're probably touch a lot of people where we're at the museum. But I'm also supporting of having some satellite venues to like maybe in the peninsula and also out in the western communities. If we can find something to like a venue that would maybe that's already set up for maybe Victoria Day celebrations.
We always have to be aware of our volunteer base. So this is something that it's always going to be a balance. Because sometimes it gets that we burn people out, and that's a bad thing. So we got to be very careful. David Lee.
Okay, so one thing I should point out, when we have been with the museum, they've been very good about supporting advertising because they have their own vehicles, they have their own calendar. They do a lot of stuff ahead of time. They have a huge following amongst people that attend the museum. So that's an instant win for us in terms of certainly we should publicize, but they're going to do a lot of that for us.
That's good. That's going to be interesting that weekend because there's a lot of US bands performing. You know, the marching bands come up and do performances that weekend.
Yeah.
So there will be a lot going on downtown. That will be a busy day. That's interesting. Yeah.
Lauri.
A week before the.
No, it's the Saturday before the Monday. It's the
Oh.
Victoria Day long weekend.
Really?
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah, Victoria Day is on the 20th.
It's gonna be busy.
Yeah.
That is going to be a very busy
Yes,
weekend.
that's-
Yeah.
I'm surprised they want us there.
Do that, yes.
Well, I think we are a draw.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's.
Yeah, that's
We tend
much.
to take over the whole lobby. It's-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Laurie.
that is a lot.
I was also just going to say that the museum venue comes with things like tables, chairs,
Mhm.
tablecloths, a person who is there kind of helping us to look after things, who can find stuff for us at the last minute.
Mhm.
And they're not renting them to us.
Right.
And they're
No,
not rented.
they're-
I mean, we would not have to pay. We would
We have
not have to
ins-
pay
ins-
for that.
Instant tech support on the day too. So
Yeah.
Yeah, there'd be
No,
tech
I think the
support.
museum's there's not really any alternative to the museum.
Well, we had to find one last year.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
And we've been at UVic before when there was a previous time they didn't really want us downtown and,
Okay.
but the attendance is never very good. And the only way UVic can really work is if we could get a lot of interest in astronomy and it's growing in the high schools, for example, especially that time of the year, then we try and get high school students and their families to come.
Yeah.
That's all that's going to really
Yeah.
happen. Otherwise, it's going to be pretty quiet.
Okay, well, this brings to, first of all, this community is very, very good at stepping up to the challenge when we have these events. But we also need an organizing committee. I know that Lauri and David have put in their time, and so the goal is to have them as at most advisors. And I am keen to be in the organizing committee, but I do appeal to people to contact me and say that they are willing and interested to help, because it actually is a lot of fun. You know, there's a real high doing this sort of outreach. I think all of us who have done it, I think part of the reason that we're active members of the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada is because we do like the outreach. And so, you know, right now it's just an Astro Cafe appeal, but you know, we'll follow up on the with the emails. But do get in touch with me. And then while we are at it, there are also other outreach events that are coming up. The big one in terms of organization is the August Star Party. It will be on the long weekend of early August. I don't have the exact dates, but we're going to need the various people to help organize that. And then the big one, everybody, is that in February, we're going to hold our AGM. And at that time, we need a new slate of officers for our council. And is it an onerous job? No, and many people around this screen and who are watching on YouTube have been involved in the organization of this community. It's not that terrible. I actually like it, and it gives us more time to hang out together. So that's a good thing too. So Reg, as past president, is in charge of recruiting for the council. Answer his email, and in particular, answer saying, I would love to be part of the organizing of this community. And then we will continue to be able to put on all these wonderful programs of inreach and outreach.
Maybe I could just add, in particular, I think we're kind of looking a bit skimpy in prospective vice presidents, for example.
Yeah.
So if you think you'd like to come on board, you can, there's plenty of us you could ask about what's involved, and certainly the roles are somewhat fluid. You know, you can take on things of interest. And the only thing is that we hope at some point maybe you'll step up and be Randy one of these days.
Oh,
the president.
Okay, and let me talk about me. I mean, we do hope that we have succession of some of the main positions. And I really hope to be past president. I think I will be a better past president than a president. And it will allow me to do more of the things that I like to do. So I shouldn't say things like that. It's not a good sell.
I know what you meant.
Well, what Randy's talking about is when you're president, you know, there's just not enough time to go around to do everything else as well. So
Yeah.
you delegate.
I'm sure you have.
Yeah.
I can
And
see. I have.
You try, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so well, I'll tell you, so when I was president, for example, I stepped away from coordinating Astro Cafe. And notice I'm back again.
Yeah.
I'm not president anymore, right? And then I'm hoping that I can take a little break this year because Randy would like to do more
Yes.
with coordinating Astro Cafe. So this is the sort of thing we trade off and do things and come and go from roles, and you know, it's what it's all about.
Yes.
If we want a club, we need people,
Yes,
right?
you do.
I mean, we're almost all kind of clubs and things like us, we're almost all in danger of having to close because people aren't volunteering anymore. So think about it. If you value the Victoria Centre, please step up and help out.
Thank you.
Reg already told me that he's getting
Okay,
for something.
Yeah.
so I know to finish off today, we have, I hope, a beautiful picture from Dave Payne. Before that, do we have any announcements, any interesting things, any other pictures to show off?
I have one thing.
Yes. So Jim Cox over here.
Yes, I go to Cafe Scientifique quite a bit down in Herman's Jazz Club. And
What is it?
That's run by UVic for years and years. It's like
run
this,
by UVic volunteers.
except it's with drinks.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
it's a free 1 hour lecture on a myriad different subject matters.
Yeah.
The last one was on cellular aging. The one coming up in I think it's, my phone will cooperate with me here. In January 10th, there's going to be a talk by Professor Sarah Ellison
Oh, she's
from
good.
UVic,
There we go.
exploring the secrets of the galaxy with astronomy. And the next one, they haven't actually scheduled it yet, but that will be January 10th.
That's excellent.
Yes, the doors open at 6, lecture starts at 7, usually over by 8, question and answer period afterwards, and they're excellent. Good food too.
And where is it, Jim, now?
Herman's. Jazz
Herman's, so
Club
it is Herman's,
On
yeah.
View Street, right next to the parkade.
Cool.
Thank you.
oh. Yeah, who can go to that?
Anybody, so it's
It's-
the public, well, anybody who's legal drinking age, I
It's
guess.
specifically for the public.
Okay,
Yes, and it's all freebie.
I'll link to it in the notes so you can
that'd be
find it.
great, yeah.
We have Darren, another person I don't know. Hi, Darren.
Yeah, hi there. I came over there once before at the beginning of the year, September. I was there, but it's been a while. Yeah, so I'd like to make a quick announcement. I've been working on a virtual reality app where I've been modeling the DAO and creating a simulation of the telescope with catalogs that are being parsed as sky maps. So you have real world stars. I'd like for the club or anyone interested to be able to test and help me put information into the application, if anyone's interested, of course.
You
And
know what
yeah,
you have to do? You have to give us an Astro Cafe talk.
yeah,
We would love that.
yeah. So I do plan to present it. I'm talking about it now. It's quite early because I've accomplished quite a bit of things in it that are starting to round out a lot of the big pieces. So, for example, some of the parts that I've been working on is the terrain. So getting the terrain all worked out. So I have the hill all modeled out in 3D. I've scanned the DAO with the help of Dennis Crabtree, who gave me permission. I went up on a weekend and scanned it, and then I started modeling the observatory. And so I have that in place, and then I started to simulate, and I modeled the telescope and started to simulate that as well, where you have a catalog of stars that you bring in and a user interface that you can touch in virtual reality. So you touch the star, and then the telescope would go to that position. And so those are some of the big things that I've overcome in the last couple months.
That sounds so cool. We
Yeah.
need a demonstration.
Could you tell us more about it, say in January, even just,
Yeah.
you know?
Do
Yeah,
a
I could-
preliminary thing. We're very informal here.
Yeah, for sure. And so yeah, I've been working on it quite a bit, like almost every night after work. My regular day job is working in virtual reality. So I'm a virtual reality developer. And that was one of the things that got me interested in the club is I went up to the center of the universe and I didn't even know that it was there. And I always had a passion for space. And then the whole thing clicked when I found out that they have virtual reality headsets. And the company I work for manages virtual reality headsets. So I was like, and I could develop for VR applications. So everything was like, I was looking for, I'm always looking for a good idea. And
Look at Lauri smiling.
yeah.
She
And then
thinks
I
you're
met Lauri.
wonderful.
So then I met Lauri. So yeah, that's what I've been working on. And I would love to get just more accurate information, like I'm still new to all this and what would make sense. Like right now I have 110,000 stars within the app. It's a lot. And having some way of being like, how would you go through that information usefully? Versus like I have it scrolling. Like, would you want to search it? Would you want to see it? What information would you want associated with the stars that you're looking at? What is the most important things to look at? Some of the things that I've broken down into categories are like having like a virtual star party, so you can have multi-user experiences where we all join in a room virtually and we can see each other's avatars and be within the observatory controlling it and going forward and backward in time.
More fun.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, that social room they had. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know how many people have tried VR in the group or even have a virtual reality headset.
Very few.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, if you have white hair, very few.
Yeah.
So Darren,
Yeah.
do you need to have a VR headset to help you?
No, I just need like for the information that's related to like star catalogs and the accuracy of the information and going over basically like the storyboarding or the scripts of information that I'll end up putting into it. That doesn't require a virtual reality headset at all.
Yeah, I can certainly help where I can in that. I've recently done some kind of electronic development through the UVic program, mainly in terms of concept, not in actual stuff. But I'd be more than happy to help you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Oh, that's cool. I love this.
Yeah, and I could, if you want to see, I could show you the landscape I'm working on right now. So tell you a little bit about it, unless you want to wait till.
Okay, so yeah, plan on it sometime in January. We
Sure.
On the 8th.
On the 8th, yeah, the second we won't.
3 weeks today, basically.
We take 3 weeks holiday.
Or 2. Yeah.
And well, that's great.
Missed 2, yeah. 3 weeks.
So, Mr. Payne, you get to close us off.
Yes, Stephen.
I've been having some computer issues here, so I'm still not confident that I can do this, but I'll try it.
Coming in.
Is it coming in?
There, oh my goodness, yes.
So I actually have one of my pictures, but I also queued up 2 of Ron's. And I don't have his permission to show them, but.
Are you there, Ron?
Yeah, I'm here.
He was with us. I don't know if he's left.
Yeah, no, good.
He's here.
No, he's there.
Can I show them, Ron?
Sure, of course you can.
Okay. Well, this first one was actually a long time coming. It's something I've wanted to image for quite some time, but it is a winter object. It's actually what's left over of a couple of supernovas after they've faded. This one is called the Jellyfish Nebula. It's a narrow band image. It's in Gemini.
Can you tell us what we're looking at?
So there's what's left over from a supernova. Did I not say that?
Yeah, but
You did.
can you give us a bit of a tour around this beautiful brain?
No, I'm just about to do that.
Oh, great. I'll shut up then.
So what happens when the supernova goes off is it explodes and it sends a lot of material in a more or less spherical outward growing, expanding material in a shock wave. And as it sends out its own material, the shock wave actually sweeps any stuff that happens to be in the area to create these shells. And they're kind of fancy things because they're really not shells. They're almost like nets of these fibrous lenticular type knots of hair. They look like hairballs. But this one's a bit unique because it's also right next to a molecular cloud. And because it was in an essentially cloud of dust and material to begin with, it's quite a bit brighter than a lot of supernova remnants that we try to image. Usually they're pretty dark, but they all have this sort of fibrous material. There's also some dark nebulosity overlaying it. You can see that as strands. It looks like ink about. And I was really happy with this one because I managed to capture a lot of detail of what's going on, especially around the edges. You can see there's where the blast material has traveled, but it's also getting pushed around by the various solar winds and such. And unlike most supernova remnants, it's actually not primarily lit up by a pulsar or something like that. It's actually being lit up by stars that were created in the molecular cloud. So it's kind of neat. I encourage you to download it from the Zenfolio site, and it's just fun to explore all the details when you zoom in. And it's even fun to see like the tiniest double stars that you capture this.
Dave, do you know if those stars are like created by that event?
No, this was a supernova, right? So this was
No, but the stars inside it, like those little stars, that double star, was that created by this event, or is it in the foreground? Or
well, most of the stars that you see will be in the foreground or the background. In fact, most of them are actually in the background. But there are stars, and I couldn't point at which one, but on the right here, that's Eta Gemini, so it's like the seventh brightest in Gemini. It's probably behind, but it looks like it's casting a reflection off the nebula itself too. You can see by the change in color, you get this blue fringe that sort of disappears and it becomes greeny.
It actually, David, it almost looks like it's backlit, back to side lit. I think I agree with you. It could be coming off from the side as well.
Most of the UV radiation that lights it up is actually from within the stars that were created by the molecular cloud, that are now shining its UV onto the material, onto these little fibrous material that is then converting it to optical light.
I guess you could tell from Gaia data which of those stars are in the right distance. And you can say which ones are part of this feature and which are just coincidentally in the same direction.
Yeah, I think astrometrically, I should say, you probably could get that for sure.
One of the keys when you're looking at these images is when you get some dark nebulosity, like these dark patches, you can see there's maybe a couple of specks in them of bright stars, but these things are blotting out any stars that are behind them, because this is really dense material that's stopping any light getting through it. So there you can tell when you've got some dark nebula how much, here's a patch with hardly any stars, that most of them are indeed background. And we know the distance to this supernova event. And
Is it kind of like box watchers?
we know most of the stars are further away than that.
And then his chin and stuff.
So the other couple wanted to show.
Oh, actually, before you go, how much time at the telescope and how much time processing to make us able to see this beautiful picture?
Have to pull it up, but I believe it was probably 3 nights of images, so maybe 15 to 20 hours of exposure. And going back to your image of the asteroid occulting the star, the easy part is actually taking the picture. The hard part is going through all of the orbits of the various asteroids, which you can get the coordinates of that from the JPL website, and then finding out what's within a few seconds of the coordinates for Betelgeuse. So there's a whole bunch of data crunching that's really the hard part of finding out when these things are occurring. And then that one image you showed was locked onto the star and watching the asteroid travel towards it, and that's why it appeared as a streak. But there's a lot of the work goes into finding out what is occulting what and when, and then there's a bit of luck that you happen to be in the right place to capture it, and a bit of luck that the weather cooperates, of course.
So David, are you saying that something like doing some work on this one is actually easier?
Well,
Like actually photographing it is easier.
It's different. It's just different. So you would lock onto a star and you'd show a movie of Betelgeuse. So Betelgeuse wouldn't move in your frame as you're taking this movie. And then you'd see something streaking towards it. And the only thing that should be streaking would be a meteor.
Asteroid.
Asteroid.
An asteroid.
I see Darren has a question for you.
Yeah. What is your telescope? Do you have a computer mounted to it, and what is this like the software you use that hooks up to your telescope?
It's a 6-inch refractor.
Yeah.
That was used for this one. It does have a computer on board to control the camera mainly. It also make fine adjustments so that you're really locked onto the star. And then there's different bits of software. There's software to control the telescope. There's software to coordinate everything. And then there's different software to process the images afterwards.
Yeah.
And David, you're using specific filtration as well, right?
Yes, and you take multiple monochromatic images through different filters.
Are you using something like a ASI Air or like a Pro, or like are you plugging directly into a laptop?
Well, no, it's actually a mini computer that's mounted on top of
Okay.
And then I remote desktop into that computer.
Yeah.
It's a Windows machine, Darren.
Yeah.
And you're processing with PixInsight, I imagine.
And I'm processing with PixInsight, yeah, which is a astrophotography specific image processing.
It's absolutely stunning, David. Just stunning.
Mhm.
Thank you. Let me show.
Hey, Bill, are you able to observe that with your, like, visually? That jellyfish nebula? It's pretty. Looks like it's pretty big, like a degree across.
It's a visual object.
Yeah.
And some of the things you get with some of the things are named after how it actually appears when you're looking through an eyepiece. And I can sort of see the jellyfish in that one I just closed, but it's appears much more like a jellyfish when you're looking at it with an eyepiece.
Thanks.
And here's a beautiful image by Ron. I just wanted to show this because I really like this part of the sky. It's unfortunate that it comes out in the winter time when it's mainly cloudy, but the Horsehead and the Flame Nebula. But this is the opposite end of the spectrum. While the supernova remnant was a star dying after it went supernova, this is the birth of stars. And you can actually see little striations coming off of this edge of the molecular cloud. And in behind this Horsehead here, there's stars being born. And you can see jets of different kind of jets of material being given off by the protostars that are just forming in here. So it was a gorgeous. This is also one you can see with your eye.
You can see it with your eye?
It's just off of the belt of Orion, Randy.
With your eye through a telescope.
And the filter.
And a filter, yeah.
Yeah, that's beside the Orion belt.
Okay, but I thought that they didn't discover that until the Harvard women.
The Horsehead?
Yeah, I thought.
Yeah,
I
it
thought
was the
Wilhelmina
Harvard women.
Fleming who discovered it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You need at least a 10-inch telescope, but a good.
Yeah, the Horsehead, I think, but the Flame Nebula and that.
The nebula.
Oh, the Flame, yeah.
Okay. You need a 10-inch.
And you need the filter for it to get
And
it to
yeah,
pop out.
filter, yeah.
What kind of filter?
O3.
It's a specialized filter.
No, H beta.
Yeah. H alpha or H beta.
It's only good for about 3 objects out there.
Yeah.
About 3 filters.
And then this last one is the Lion Nebula. I don't think you can see this one, but correct me if I'm wrong, Bill. This is another star forming area, but it's much, much fainter. And this was actually a collaboration between Ron and I. So I took the pictures and Ron did all the processing. And
way to go, you guys.
This was my very first effort at trying to do narrowband processing, so you have to forgive me.
Colors are beautiful.
But you can see some of the same characteristics of some dark material hiding parts of it. And if you squint at it, you can actually see some hind legs and some forelegs and a big mane.
And the tail.
Ron, is this
here? Yeah.
Ron, is this SHO palette or HOO?
This is SHO.
SHO. Okay.
So Ron, tell us what that means.
What does that mean? I
Yeah,
don't know. No, it means it's the Hubble palette. It's what they call the Hubble palette, and it's assigning sulfur to red and hydrogen to green and oxygen 3 to the blue, and then trying to pull the color out.
Yeah, and this is typical of the coloration.
Anyway, this has got me in trouble now because now I have to buy everything so I can start doing narrowband processing next year.
Slippery slope, Ron.
It is. It is.
He's had a slip of the freshie.
So I'll take this down now if everyone's happy.
Thank you.
I'm so
Mhm.
glad you showed those things.
Thanks.
I am going to call the Astro Cafe unless there's any last.
Oh, Lauri's got
All
her
right, Larry.
hand waving.
Larry's hand is up.
Sorry. I just had a couple of things. We had a successful star party last Saturday night on the 16th for our solstice party. About 100 people came out or so, and that was pretty good considering it was practically zero visibility up there for fog. It was really very heavy, but we had a really good time. Lovely connections with people, and Susan was there for the first time. Thank you, Susan, for coming up for your first star party and being part of that. And Kirsten was up, and David was up, and we had a
David and Brock were looking at Jupiter.
and that's right. Yes, yeah. It was really foggy, but we were able to actually see up, and did get some visual, which was really interesting. You couldn't see out at all, but you could see up a little bit.
Have you guys decided whether Pluto should be a planet again?
Oh,
Well,
that was a vibrant discussion. I actually have it on video, but I need to talk to Laurie about the sound quality.
Ruhi did save the day, and it was a conclusion that Pluto was not a planet. Yes, yeah, it would stay as a dwarf planet. But Alex Cowan did his very best to try to anyway. It was great. Everybody really enjoyed it, and it was quite fun. And I think that people said that they thought that was really kind of a fun thing to do. So we'll keep that kind of thing going. It provides a little bit of gentle humor, but also people said I really learned a lot that I didn't know. So even though you're kind of trying to do that, it produced that. So that was really good. So thanks everybody. And then I just was saying that the FDAO bought some of Joe's calendars to sell up at the center, and we do have some left. So if there's anybody who would like to have a calendar, I know Joe had said he sold out, gone, doesn't have any more. We actually do have a few. So if anybody would like to have one of Joe's calendars, which are the local photographs and sketches from this past year, and they're really great, and it's a wonderful calendar. So if you want to email me and or just put it in the chat and say that you'd like one if you weren't able to get one of the calendars before. We are absolutely all sold out of the national RASC calendars and all of the almanacs that I had. I do have a couple of the explore the moon with binoculars and telescopes, and the explore the universe are also out. Now, if anybody wants any of those, please email me and we can kind of start to make another order and bring them in. It's really expensive to bring them in one at a time. So if you're looking to buy any of these things, let me know and we can, you know, kind of make a full order and see whether or not we can get anything anything done. The other thing that I'd like to make sure that people know is that we also, the RASC also has eclipse glasses that we bought quite a lot for the eclipse, and we have some. So if any of you are going away for the eclipse or going to be able to see the eclipse in on April the 8th, and you're going away and you want 2 or 3 pairs of glasses, let me know, because that's exactly
And I
what
have
they're there
about
for.
100 at my house.
You want, and you've still got 100 at your house. Okay, good. So so we know that we have enough. So if you are going to be traveling and going out to see anything and need some, you know, please let us know. So I think that was it. Is Ken Atkinson on the call here today?
Yes, he is.
Yes, it looks like he is.
Oh, okay. I just didn't see him. Ken, did you ever get back to the 4 Mile Pub or the 4 Mile Restaurant to ask about a date for an event at all?
We will continue this offline with emails, I guess. 'Cause I don't
Okay.
think it
All
is
right, yeah.
actually
Okay.
at his apparatus.
Yeah. So do you
Thank
want
you.
me?
Thank you for taking the initiative on that. That's excellent.
Yeah. So do we want to go ahead? Did we make a decision about the May 18th? Like, did we
Oh,
absolutely you want me to, right?
Gail said
Okay,
it was
just to make sure.
much better.
Yeah, there's not really any choice, I don't think.
Well, yeah, I think it was very clear. We had consensus.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, before I went to her, and then we kind of, we changed our minds. So okay.
And
Right.
also we have to contact our complementary organizations that have been
Yes,
That join us for the day.
to join us for the
that
day.
join us for the
The
day. Yes, okay.
university and
Camosun,
yeah,
NRC,
Yeah,
they,
etc.
We have a long list.
yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Okay, thanks a lot. That's all I have.
Outreach opportunity. Frank Hobbs is doing a solstice event on the 21st on Thursday, and if anybody could imagine doing some outreach with these elementary kids and their families, I can get you a contact. I have made no commitments, but I was approached. So that is on Thursday evening, early evening. They're holding a solstice party, and I'm not sure what the nature of it would be, but they would love to have an amateur astronomer to talk to the kids.
Yes, certainly the weather forecast is not looking promising.
Not looking promising.
So it'd be an indoor event, I guess.
Oh, to be an astronomer in December. It's time to process images, I guess. And with that, I thank you all. This was a really wonderful season, and we'll see you again on January 9.
8th.
8th.
Yes.
That's how it works. Okay.
So all the best. Season's
Bye-bye.
greetings, everyone. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas.